He ran straight into machine gun fire. Not once, not twice, 5 times. Bodies were down. Blood was everywhere. Radio calls for help went unanswered, and while everyone else was told to stand down, he went back in, alone, over and over, into a valley that had become a death trap. He pulled out wounded friends with his bare hands. He dragged the dead back under fire so their families would have closure. He manned a gun, called in his coordinates, and faced death on his terms. And when it was all over, he didn't call himself a hero. He called himself a failure. What kind of man does that? What happened in that valley in Afghanistan? Why were American troops left without air support or backup? And what does it do to someone when you save lives but still lose your brothers? This isn't just about combat. It's about chaos, courage, and consequences no one sees. There was no movie, no headline that captured it all. But the truth? The truth is far more brutal and far more important. This is the story of Dakota Meyer. Dakota Meyer grew up in the hills of Kentucky's small town. Big grit. He wasn't born with medals on his chest. He was just a kid who worked hard, hunted, played football, and hated quitting. School didn't excite him, but the challenge did. At 17, he walked into a Marine Corps recruiting office and never looked back. He didn't want comfort. He wanted purpose. To fight, to serve, to protect the guy next to him. At boot camp, he wasn't the fastest or strongest, but he was relentless. He pushed through pain, exhaustion, and fear with a stubborn streak no drill sergeant could break. He became a scout sniper, one of the toughest roles in the Corps. A job where patience, precision, and raw nerve decide who lives and who dies. But it wasn't the sniper rifle that defined him. It was his loyalty, his refusal to stand by while others suffered. He trained hard, deployed twice, and earned respect the old-fashioned way, by never backing down, never showing weakness, and never letting fear make decisions. He didn't know it yet, but his biggest test wasn't on a range. It was in a valley called Ganjgal, the 8th of September, 2009, Ganjgal Valley, Afghanistan. Just before dawn, a combined patrol of U.S. Marines and Afghan soldiers walked into a trap. Taliban fighters had surrounded the valley in advance, hidden in hills, armed with mortars, machine guns, and RPGs. As the ambush erupted, radio calls poured in, taking heavy fire, requesting support. We are surrounded. But the higher command delayed air support, denied artillery, and told Dakota Meyer to stay put. He couldn't. He looked around, saw no movement, no backup, and made a choice. He jumped into an armored Humvee with his friend, Staff Sergeant Juan Rodriguez Chavez, and they drove straight into hell. Gunfire echoed off the cliffs. RPGs lit the sky. Shells slammed into their truck. Still, they kept moving, weaving through bullets, returning fire, and pulling the wounded from the jaws of death. They went in once, then again, and again. Each time, under direct fire. Each time, more wounded. More chaos. They evacuated 12 wounded, even transported Afghan allies who'd been left behind. On the 5th trip, Dakota couldn't wait anymore. He left the vehicle, went in on foot, and searched for his missing brothers. He found them lifeless, surrounded by spent casings and blood-soaked earth. He loaded their bodies one by one, refusing to leave them behind, because leaving them wasn't an option. By the end of the 6-hour firefight, Meyer had saved 36 lives and recovered the bodies of his fallen team. But he didn't feel heroic. He felt broken, haunted, angry. He replayed every second the delays, the silence on the radio, the screams, and he blamed himself. When he was later told he'd be receiving the Medal of Honor, the highest military award, he nearly refused it. Because he didn't want a medal, he wanted his friends back. But what Dakota Meyer did in Ganjgal wasn't ordinary. It was historic, legendary, and it redefined what courage looks like. Not absence of fear, but the choice to face it, to act anyway, and to carry your brothers, even when they can't walk beside you. After Ganjgal, Dakota Meyer came home alive, but not whole. The world saw a hero, The headlines praised his courage. But inside, he was falling apart. He couldn't sleep, couldn't sit in silence. He drank to numb the noise in his head. Crowds made him anxious. The quiet made him panic. And guilt sat on his chest like body armor he couldn't take off. He replayed that day over and over. What if I had gotten there faster? What if I had just done more? When the military told him he'd been nominated for the Medal of Honor, he didn't feel pride. He felt rage, disgust, shame. To him, the medal wasn't a symbol of bravery. It was a reminder of 4 men who died and the crushing weight of surviving when they didn't. He said, "This isn't about me, it's about them." On the 15th of September, 2011, he stood in the East Room of the White House as President Obama placed the Medal of Honor around his neck. The cameras clicked, the nation applauded. But inside, Dakota was barely holding it together. He didn't want a stage, he wanted silence. But silence wasn't healing him. So he did something harder than war. He told the truth. He spoke publicly about PTSD, about waking up screaming, about suicidal thoughts. He admitted he needed help, and when he did, something powerful happened. Other veterans came forward too. He shattered the myth that warriors don't break, and in doing so, helped others start to heal. Dakota didn't use the Medal of Honor for glory. He used it as a platform to advocate, to educate, to fight for those who can't. He started helping veterans, speaking in schools, and standing up for mental health. Because he knew real strength isn't in bullets, it's in vulnerability. The medal didn't save his life, but talking did. Healing did. Purpose did. And that's the real cost of valor, not the action itself, but the invisible battle that follows. Dakota Meyer could have disappeared. After the ceremony, the medals, the press, he could have vanished into silence. But instead, he chose a different kind of fight. He began speaking across the country not about combat, but about survival. The kind that happens after the war ends, when the cameras are gone and the nightmares stay. He opened up about his struggles with PTSD, depression, and the night he nearly took his own life. He told veterans, "You're not weak for hurting, you're human." And for some, that message meant the difference between life and death. He launched veteran support programs, partnered with suicide prevention groups, used every platform he had to tell others, "You are not alone." He showed that it's okay to be broken, as long as you keep trying to heal. Off the stage, he built a life. He became a father, a mentor, a business owner, a man still scarred but stronger because of it. He didn't erase the past, he carried it. But now, he carried it for a purpose to protect others from the isolation he once felt. Dakota Meyer never stopped being a Marine. He just changed the battlefield and never stopped fighting for others. Dakota Meyer didn't just earn the Medal of Honor. He earned the scars that come with it. But his legacy isn't about a medal. It's about what he did when the shooting stopped. About how he used his voice to reach those still trapped in silence. He turned pain into purpose, turned survival into service, and showed that real strength isn't found in how many times you stand tall, but in how many times you get back up when you can't. He never stopped missing his brothers, never stopped honoring their names. Every life he saves now is because of the ones he lost. And that's his message. That valor isn't just one heroic act. It's the life you live after. Dakota Meyer's story isn't just about war. It's about healing, resilience, and the power of standing back up when everything inside you says stay down. If this story moved you, if it made you think about the cost of courage, honor it. Please share it. Remember it. And subscribe for more stories that reveal the true meaning of sacrifice. Heroes never ask to be called heroes, but they remind us what it means to live with purpose.